We've had many women come into our program that are like, I think something's wrong with my scale. The numbers are going down rapidly. And I'm like, and we've had ladies actually go to different scales because they literally think there's something wrong with their scale because their scale hasn't moved in years. And I say, there's nothing wrong with your scale. This is how the program works.
And that lets you save care.
Welcome to a brand new edition of Ageless Energy, where we talk about how to burn fat, increase energy, and balance hormones for women over 40. Over the past 20 years as a performance coach, I've worked with hundreds of women that have the exact same struggles you do. I hope to shine some light with this podcast on what can be the most challenging time of your life and let you know there is hope to find success with your health and what you're looking for. Please share and enjoy. All right, welcome to another Ageless Energy Show. I am your host, Drew Tadia. I'm excited to dive in. Today, we're going to talk about how to increase your metabolism specifically for women 40 plus, how to burn body fat, get your body in a fat burning stage. Everything you need and want to know about metabolism is coming up right now. If you're not sure who I am, my name is Drew Tadia, founder and CEO of True Form Life. For the past 20 years, we've been helping women 40 plus increase energy, burn body fat, and balance hormones. So if that's you, you're in the right place. Today, this is a good one. This is something I feel like we kind of specialize in. I've been talking about metabolism for a very long time, and it's really the very essence of your well-being when it comes to chopping inches, burning body fat, having your body run at an optimal rate. And that's both internally and physically. So I'm going to dive in and I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do. I got 3 tips here for you, and I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible. One of the most apparent things that I see with women in particular is that they don't eat enough. I know this is really challenging. This is probably the first hurdle that we have to overcome when women join us in our Metabolism Accelerator program. And when I say the biggest challenge is it could be 20, 30, 40 years of a mindset that says the less food I eat, the better off I'm going to be. And what we have to do is we have to break that mindset, and then we have to establish new beliefs around food in particular. So because of that mindset, gosh, I feel like this whole show could be just on that. It won't be, I promise. At any rate, one of the biggest challenges is to help understand that we need to heal the relationship with food in particular, because we have the mindset of lack, and we need to have that mindset of abundance when it comes to nutrition in particular. So many women believe that the less food that they eat, the less body fat that they'll accumulate, which means less food, less body fat, fit, healthy, slim, etc. Unfortunately, it doesn't exactly work like that. What we have to help our people understand is that for your body to work efficiently, and when I say efficiently, I just mean optimally overall. Like when your body is in a fat burning stage, it's working how it's supposed to work. When you start to see, like, someone could come, I'm thinking one of our members right now, I won't mention her name, but she came to us and her hormones were all over the place. Didn't like, very moody. This is her words. Very moody. Didn't really recognize herself. Hot flashes. Couldn't sleep. Digestion issues. And like that state of being as a whole, like thinking holistically, that's not a natural state of being. Like, I truly believe our bodies are supposed to perform well. Like our bodies are supposed to perform optimally. Like, we should be able to sleep when it's time to sleep. When the sun goes down, part of our circadian rhythm, we should fall asleep. I believe we should wake up and not feel like a truck hit us in pain and discomfort and miserable. And I believe our nutrition, our digestion should flow properly. Like, you shouldn't be able to like pick something up and have excruciating pain. Like surgeries and like these things, diets, even medication, like all this stuff, it's become normal, but I don't think it's meant to be. It's the things that we do or don't do to our body that causes those detriments. The things that we do, like the processed food that we consume, it's the staring at technology for hours on end. It's sitting for 8 hours a day. Like, the way we live is the reason of our outcome, and because of the world we live in. From, like I said, like I already said, like, it's just normal to be, and I have zero judgment. Everyone's in a different position. I'm not saying you shouldn't get surgery. I'm just saying it's so normal in the certain age group. Medication, like 75% of the population is on medication, and it's not one medication. You have extra. I just don't think that. I believe that it's because of our lifestyle and the choices that we make or the choices that we don't make. Like, I could think of my grandmother, for example. She was in the garden all summer. That's all she did. She was in the garden. She's always moving, bending, and she was, I would say she was fit and healthy. And then if she wasn't in the garden, she was making blankets or baking food, like always moving. And like, for us, like, we as a generation, we live a sedentary lifestyle. We sit through our news feed. Maybe some of you guys don't want to hear this, but I'm just here to speak the truth. Like, we have to make changes in our lifestyle if we want to have a different outcome. And many people are just that sad, like, I don't know what the acronym is. A standard American diet, no different for Canada. We have a very poor diet, and then we have very poor habits that lead us to live a sedentary lifestyle. And then we have the outcome of being overweight, lack of energy. Our metabolism has come to a screeching halt. We can't burn on any body fat. All we do is accumulate year after year. So that's a little bit of a rant. Let me get back on track here. So when it comes to nutrition in particular, we just simply don't eat enough food. And it's because we don't have the proper relationship, the mindset first, and then the relationship with the food. So first of all, we have to heal the relationship with food. And that comes with mindset, helping you understand that food is not the enemy. Food actually, I believe in my core, food heals, food cures, and food prevents. So we actually need food coming into our system on a regular basis for our bodies to perform optimally. So when we are, I'm not a fan of fasting. When we are, I would consider starving ourselves. You're eating once a day, you're starving yourself. Your body is in a starvation mode, which means it's holding on to all the body fat. Right? So you, like a lot, maybe not you, a lot of the women that initially come to us, they're eating once, maybe twice a day. And they think they're doing a good thing because of the relationship with food and the mindset of less food equals less body fat. So I shouldn't eat a lot of food because I'll just gain more weight. It doesn't work like that. We have to understand that. And I'm talking about quality food. When I say food, I don't mean food like substances. I wouldn't call McDonald's fries and a burger food. Like, it's not real food. So I have a different definition of food, in my opinion. So we have to look at food as fuel for our body, and then help ourselves understand that we actually need this food to survive, so our body isn't in starvation mode and just trying to survive, hanging on to all that body fat. Once your body, when the ladies come into our program and we start to put them on a meal plan, and they start to give their body more food. It's like this giant release. Like, think of your body's in an intense state, right? Not intense. Your body is in an tense state that's not naturally flowing. Like, our body was meant to flow and move, and we live in this tense state of fight or flight, and I can't eat this and I can't eat that. Your body is very tense, your overall well-being. So when it comes to food in particular, when our ladies first come into our program, we put them on a meal plan that is more food, some of them, than they've ever eaten. But it's such an eye-opening experience, and it's one of those things we call a quick win. In a very short amount of time, if they eat the food that we recommend, their body has this like giant release of stress, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not starving anymore, and it starts to drop body fat almost instantly. So within a week, sometimes 2 weeks, our ladies are like, oh my gosh. And some of you are here watching, you can certainly attest. Feel free to drop some comments, but your body is like, oh my gosh, I'm not in starvation mode anymore. And it starts burning body fat almost immediately. And we've had many women come into our program that are like, I think something's wrong with my scale. The numbers are going down rapidly. And I'm like, and we've had ladies actually go to different scales because they literally think there's something wrong with their scale because their scale hasn't moved in years. And I say, there's nothing wrong with your scale. This is how the program works. So, but that's the reason, the reason behind what's happening is your metabolism is locked. It's like and for years it's been in this I don't like the word impossible, but impossible state to move. And once we start to unlock those steps to release your metabolism and help it burn body fat, like it's like the whole world opens its arms to you. It's like, oh my gosh, for the first time in 30 years, I've dropped a few pounds and I've never done that. And then that's just the beginning. The longer you stick with the program, the longer you continue to eat the foods that we're recommending. And when I say recommending, I'm not talking about like any specialty types of foods, natural food, like regular food you find at any grocery store. It's just that it's been for so long that you've actually given your body the fuel that it needs, and it releases itself from that high tense state, that fight or flight state, and then it starts to flow and move properly, and then you start to burn body fat. Ta-da! You're welcome. So that's just the very tip of the iceberg, and that's tip number one, is that we have to start eating regularly. What we like to teach with our women in particular is the 30-30-30 method. And it's not like, unfortunately, it wasn't mine. Like the first time I heard about it was Tim Ferriss. Gary Breckett talks about it often now, but there's clear research around having 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking up. So that'd be the first step. And then you match that with 30 minutes of exercise, which I'm going to explain here in a second. But the sooner that you can get food into your body, the better off that you're going to be, because your body naturally fasted. And that's part of the reason why I don't necessarily believe in the conventional fasting or the intermittent fasting, because you don't have to force your body to fast. Your body's already fasting and it's in a natural state. Like, think of hunters and gatherers. Like, this is my opinion. This is how I see it. Like, they weren't trying to starve themselves. They were trying to eat. Like, they were gathering berries. They were hunting animals. And like, do you think they weren't eating some berries when they were picking them or gathering them? Or do you think like when they were cooking their meat on an open fire, they weren't like testing and then eating it? It's like we have this rigid mindset of structure of like, I can only eat at this amount of time and I need this many hours in between. Like, that to me is more of a lack of a mindset when we're sleeping. So if you're going to bed at 10 o'clock and you're waking up at 6 o'clock or whatever it is, your body is fasting for that amount of time. And in my opinion, that's a very long amount of time, very long period of time. You don't have to go above and beyond and be like, once I wake up, I'm not going to be able to eat for this many hours. Like, I just don't personally believe in that. I think our body needs fuel, and we've seen incredible results from our clients and from our lifestyle that way. So as soon as you wake up, as quickly as you can, you would eat something, and I would suggest 30 grams of protein. The easiest thing for me is to recommend a shake. Like, how do you get 30 grams of? Well, you can look at bacon. I prefer turkey bacon. You can look at eggs. It's pretty simple. You can look at high protein Greek yogurt. There's a number of things that you can do in the morning to get 30 grams in. However, again, it's so simple. It's like a giant life hack. You put 30 grams of protein, like 1 scoop of protein, like we have a really nice vanilla protein. You put that in milk. You put a scoop of collagen. You shake it up and you put it in the fridge. Like, if you can't do that, we have some other things we need to work through. But that's probably the simplest thing you can do. From that morning shake, you can certainly level up. You can put MCT oil in there for brain health. You can put creatine in there to help with pre-workout. Also great for cognitive function. You have maca, that's really good for hormone balancing, natural energy boost, great for the libido. There's tons of, like, that's just the very basics. And then you can continue to level up and increase the very first thing you do in the morning. Just think about that. A lot of people either starve themselves, start off with coffee, pastry, donut. First thing they put in their body is carbs, sugar. Like, think about the difference of waking up with a good quality protein supplement with maybe some other things that will liven you up, mental clarity, give you energy, and get you moving throughout the day, or having nothing in your system, zero energy, slow metabolism, and then trying to get yourself through the day with, how can I call, stimulants, caffeine, sugar, energy drinks, etc. It's a whole different experience. So that's what I would recommend starting your day off. But there's many different ways that you can go about that if that's what you choose. So that's just the very start, is improving your relationship with food, starting off with getting something in your body first thing in the morning. And then I would look at, why do I write notes if I don't follow them? The next one is resistance training. So if you're looking at, and here's the big one, and why it's so different between if I'm talking to men or if I'm talking to women. we exclusively work with women at this point. So, which doesn't mean some men don't take our supplements. But for this topic in particular, most women go straight to the cardio section. And they do very little resistance, or they do they do zero resistance and 100% cardio, or a very small percentage of resistance, regardless of what it is. I kind of grew up in the gym world or the gym atmosphere, and you'd always see, I don't know if it's like that now. Maybe it's changing a bit. I feel like it's changing, but you see all the women over there on the cardio machines and all the men over there in the weight section, and very little in between. Maybe a couple guys over here, one or two women over here. Like that needs to even out. And here's the thing, like one of the most important things you can understand is that resistance training burns your metabolism up to 24 hours after you have completed your workout. How incredible is that? It's like an investment in your health. You invest 30 minutes, 40 minutes to working out, to move your body in a full resistance training way, and your body continues to burn body fat after. This is called a high thermic burn. So your body burns thermically inside, internally. It boosts your metabolism. And some of you are watching that know exactly what's happening or have experienced this once you start to work on your nutrition, and then you start to get into a proper exercise routine, and you start to burn body fat. You start to drop inches. You have to buy different clothes. Then you have a whole new headache that you have to worry about that you should probably enjoy. Because maybe it's the first time in years you have the opportunity to buy new clothes that actually fit. So when it comes to the resistance training, you don't have to, there's some mindset that you have to, old school mindset, in my opinion, that you have to work out for an hour, hour and a half. We have actually had ladies come into our program. We do our workouts at 30, 40 minutes. And we have some women that would come in and say, this isn't enough. Like, where's the rest of the workout? And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, it's only 30 minutes. And I say, yes, it is. You're welcome. No. And they say only 30 minutes. They're like, well, I got to do an hour of cardio. So they're going to do 30 minutes of resistance training. Then they want to do an hour of cardio after. And I'm like, stop the madness. You don't need an hour of cardio. Like, it's the same thing as nutrition, right? So for years, women come into our program, they're starving themselves. And I tell them to eat more food. And they're like, nah, I don't really want to eat more food. So I try to work with them and help them improve their relationship, their mindset, the emotions around food. Okay. So then we can get them to start eating more food, and then they finally start to burn more body fat. And they're like, oh my gosh, it's so counterintuitive. It's like this giant mind twist that you're like, more food? Like, I've been starving myself for years. And then I say, yes. And how's that worked out for you? Well, I've only gained weight over the years, right? So maybe you got to try something different with nutrition. Same thing with resistance training. You've been doing very little resistance training, maybe very little workouts. And if you are doing workouts, it's all cardio based. So now we flip that around and we say you're doing more resistance training. And then maybe later on the program, we look at different cardio. But depending on where everyone is at, we have to start with only 3 resistance training, only 3. How many hours? 90 minutes in a week. I forget how many, someone tell me, someone chat it or Google it. How many minutes in a week? You guys only need 90 minutes in an entire week. So what does that mean? 30 minutes for 30 minutes, 3 times a day. Or what am I saying? 3 workouts an entire week. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 workouts, 30 minutes. That makes 90 minutes an entire week. It's like, it's so mind boggling for me to be like, sometimes people say, oh, I didn't have time to work out. And I'm like, how many hours did you have? How many minutes did you have? And you're going to tell me you didn't have, what we're saying is you didn't have, it's not your priority. 10,000 minutes in a week. 10,080 minutes in a week. So let's see. Subtract 90 minutes. So if you were to work out 90 minutes, you would still have 9,990 minutes to do whatever you wanted. I don't know if that helps. Does that offer any perspective? For those that are like, I don't really have that time. But here's the thing. I know I'm joking, right? The thing is that we have the mindset of I have to work out every day. So a lot of people think they have to work out 5-6 times a week. I'm going to tell you why that's not a good thing in a second. And then they think they have to work out for an hour or 2. So they're like, well, I don't have time for an hour and a half workout. And they're like, I don't have time to work out for an hour, drive 15 minutes to the gym, drive 15 minutes back, get dressed, get changed. It's a 2-hour thing. Like, it's kind of ridiculous to think about like the average person. Now, sure, it's different if you're an athlete. It's different if you're competing for something. It's different if you have that time or that's a hobby. You're like, I want to dedicate 2 hours a day to working out. How many people want to do that? A very small percentage. So we have to understand that there's different ways and there's different options, different avenues. So if you work out at home, you're not driving, you're not waiting for equipment, you're not going to the change room, like you're not, well, there's a dozen different things. You're not trying to find a parking spot, waiting at red lights, like sitting in traffic, whatever it is. You work out at home, which I highly suggest. So you don't have to go anywhere. You'd go to a dedicated area in your house. So you eliminate a whole lot of friction right from the jump. Okay. And then you're doing a 30-minute workout. You're not doing a hour workout. And then you're focusing on resistance training, which is more directed to specifically what you're looking for. And for me, like I suggest women work towards getting stronger instead of losing weight, because as you get stronger, the weight will naturally come off. If you're just focusing on losing weight, you don't naturally get stronger. So you start with strength first and you work towards, or you start with strength first and getting stronger. And as that, you increase your metabolism, you build more muscle, your body gets leaner, the body fat actually starts to melt off quicker. So the more muscle mass you have, the higher your metabolism burns, the less body fat you have. And I'm not talking about big, bulky women. I think that's kind of a thing in the past that women used to come to me and say, I don't want to lift too much because I don't want to get big and bulky. And I'm like, okay, well, that's going to take you 10 years. It's going to take a bodybuilding diet, a whole lot of supplements, maybe some steroids, and it's going to take a completely different meal plan. So that's going to be very hard for you to do. Don't worry about it. I feel like that's a bit in the past. At least I don't, unless we're just more targeted on our audience now, but I don't really get women coming in saying that. But when someone says I don't have enough time to work out, all they're really saying it's not a priority to me, or it's not important to me. That's it. And that's something that's just a mindset block. So I don't know if that's helpful to anyone watching, but at least as a coach, from my position, when someone says that, I know immediately it's not a priority, and that's all there is to it. And until it becomes a priority, it's really difficult to make changes.
One of the things I would like to ask of you guys is that some of you know that I don't run ads on this show and don't plan on in the immediate future. So the only ask I have for you is that you help us spread the word so we can help more women burn body fat, increase energy, and balance their hormones. And the only way that we can do that is if you can rate and review this podcast. So the single thing that I could have you do or could ask of you is to leave a review. It'll take 5 minutes or one swipe of the thumb. It would mean the absolute world to me. And more importantly, you could change the world for someone else. As many of you know, there's plenty of women that struggle in this age group for balancing hormones, increasing energy, and burning body fat. So if you could help spread the word, that would make a big difference in our life and probably someone else's as well.
I know there's things like you have kids, activities, you have your job, you have endless things that you have to do, but your health should be a priority, because if you put your health to the top, then everything else becomes easier. You actually have more time, you have more mobility, you have more energy, you have more emotions to give to your children and your grandkids. Like, it's just a better place to be in if that's what you choose. But you have to choose that. No one can actually. Sometimes people will come to me and they'll say, hey, I really want to get so-and-so healthy. I have to hear this from their spouse, right? Because we work with women. I want to get my husband healthy, but he eats burgers. And I'm like, the best thing that you can do is set a good example, even for your kids. You're not going to change your spouse's mind by nagging them. It's probably the worst thing you can do. Same thing with your kids. Like, if you want to help your kids, you set an example and you exercise first. I had a friend that was like, my so-and-so, they don't eat their kid. He's like, oh, she doesn't eat any greens. And I'm like, because I know he's a good friend of mine. I knew him from college. He doesn't eat very well. So he says, she won't eat any greens. And I was like, when's the last time you ate greens? And he doesn't, right? He didn't. Same thing. There was I had a mango, different situation. I had a mango and she's like, hey, can I have a piece? And he's like, she's not going to eat that. Don't waste it. And I'm like, because I'm sitting there eating it. And then I gave it to her and she ate it and she liked it. And I was like, when's the last time you ate a mango? Doesn't eat mangoes. Shocking. So for you to set an example for your spouse, like women, you guys are leaders. Like, you lead your family. Women entrepreneurs are savages. Like, they just don't. I don't think the business world has caught up. But there's so many incredibly successful entrepreneur women, and I've worked with some of them, and they just have a different energy. They have a different mindset, and they're leaders. Like they lead big teams, and they're high up in the world in different ways. It doesn't have to be an entrepreneur, but women in particular, mothers, grandmothers, like you guys run your families, like you are leaders. So I kind of feel like it's your obligation to set an example for them, and that starts with your health in particular. I did have one. I'm going to wrap things up here. I did have one more area that I wanted to touch on. This is partially like when we work with women, it's increase energy, burn body fat, and balance hormones. Like that's what we do. It's all based around metabolism, which is why our program is called our Metabolism Accelerator Program. That is much of that is based around when you look at your hormones, I'll make this quick, I promise, 5 minutes and I'll be out of here. When you look at your hormones, you have to look at your stress levels. And so your stress levels is linked to so much. So your stress levels is linked to your digestion, for example. A lot of times when people are really stressed out, they're like, oh my gosh, I feel sick to my stomach. That is your hormones acting very differently than they would when you're not stressed out. So when you are stressed out, you increase your cortisol levels. When you increase your cortisol levels, you put your body in that fight or flight state, and it won't release any body fat. It accumulates, hangs on. It's like, what's happening? It's protecting itself. Same thing with your metabolism is there for a reason. It's there to protect itself. When you are not eating anything, your body's in starvation mode. It's protecting itself by holding on to the body fat because it doesn't know when it's going to eat again. It feels like it's starving. Okay. So when you're looking at when you're in that fight or flight state, because you're so stressed out and your hormones are all out of whack, the reason that you're not able to burn body fat is because your body is in defense mode, and we need to change that. We need to adjust that. So regularly, what needs to be done is having different ways to reduce stress in your life. And whether that's deep breathing, whether that's meditation, prayer, relaxing music, detoxing baths, like that needs to be implemented into your lifestyle so you can start balancing your hormones. Once you start balancing your hormones, like usually what we do is we clean up digestion. We start to improve that gut microbiome. We remove acid reflux in digestion. Usually that's when we start to see that meno belly. Earlier, when I talked at the beginning of the show, I talked about what's normal in this life, and the meno belly, like even for men, like that big pot belly. Women, it's becoming more normal to have that meno belly. That's lifestyle, right? That's the choices you've made or the choices you don't make. That doesn't have to be there. It doesn't need to be there. We can do things about it. And one of the things is reducing stress, but in particular, cleaning up your digestion and improving your gut microbiome. And then that seemingly natural bloat will start to go away. But that's pretty much it. That's the balancing hormones part of it. There's things that you can do. Like I talked about shakes at the beginning, from protein, collagen, creatine. Those are all really good choices, including MCT oil. Those at our website, trueformlife.com. Activated charcoal is great for digestion. It's super helpful. It's detoxing, but super helpful to help reduce that meno belly in particular. So there's a lot of things that you can do. You just need to get started. Like you probably need a community. You likely need a coach or mentor. You need a plan or program. Like that's just all there is to it. I've seen very few people that could do that on their own. I used to think that it was like athletes, like, oh, athletes are kind of the chosen ones. So the very few that can do that kind of thing on their own. But it's not true. Like that, they have everything that I'm talking about. Like they have a community, they have a team, they have a coach, manager. So they have a leader, someone that's directing them, someone that has experience and probably been doing it for years, certainly much less than they have, much longer than that player has, for example. And they have a plan. Like you have a coaching plan. Like you had a year plan, like a season plan of what you were hoping for in a step-by-step process. And then you had a weekly plan of what practice looks like, what games look like. That's kind of how we live our life now that I think about this. But we teach the same with our Metabolism Accelerator program. Like we have our Sunday success system. Like you have to set your week up in advance or you're going to be behind. When you're looking at athletes in particular, you set up your season, you set up your week, you set up your game plan. Like before the game, you know exactly what you're doing. And in most cases, what I see is chaos when people come to me and they're like, I don't know what's going on with my life. And I'm like, well, what's happening? There's just too many things happening. They're juggling too many balls. They have 3 businesses, 4 kids, 2 grandkids. Like what we need to do is to come up with a plan to make all that fit into your lifestyle so it actually works for you instead of against you. And that's really where you're going to see the results you're hoping for. Have a great day, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. If you need any help with anything, I'm only a message away. Bye.